In today's video, I'm going to show you my DeFi and airdrop strategies for the Solana network for June 2024. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, nothing in this video is financial advice, and you should still do your own research before trying any of these strategies. Now let's get into it. To start, let's look at the state of DeFi on Solana as it sits here in the first week of June. And overall, I would say that Solana DeFi has grown tremendously, both since the start of this year and since last year when we started talking about it on this channel. If you look at all DeFi applications on Solana, then including liquid staking, there's currently $8.3 billion locked in Solana DeFi. And you can see that that's just an incredible growth from last year. Again, we started talking about it on this channel, I believe last September. So it was around $500 million. So it's up to 8.3 billion now. And since the start of 2024, when it was around $3 billion. And one important thing to do with this is to look at this also in terms of SOL, because part of that growth is from the SOL price increasing. And if you look at that, then since the start of 2024, it's grown from around 31 million SOL in DeFi to over 50 million SOL. So you've got both the price of SOL increasing and more SOL and more stablecoins, more other tokens actually entering this DeFi ecosystem. And that's not all. There's some other good things happening on the Solana ecosystem as well. And I think one of the most important things is that the decentralized exchange volume on Solana has just been astronomical basically all year. If you look at it, usually it's not as high as Ethereum. Ethereum's almost always the winner, but Solana has been comparable to Ethereum. So for example, over the past 24 hours, Ethereum had $1.456 billion of decentralized exchange volume. Solana had $1.169 billion. And over the past week, again, Ethereum had more with $13.6 billion, but Solana had $6.877 billion. So it's not necessarily always as high, but it's been in the same range. And it's been like that really since December. There were days in December where Solana flipped it, and there's been days here and there since then when Solana flipped Ethereum. And what this volume shows is that Solana has established itself in the niche of on-chain trading, specifically for meme coins and other sorts of hyper-speculative tokens. If you look at the number of tokens being launched on Solana recently, it was nearly 500,000 in the month of May. And to put that in perspective, that is nearly 10 tokens every single minute for the entire month. And that is nearly as many tokens as have been launched on Ethereum ever. So basically 1 month, Solana's doing more tokens than, or almost as many tokens as have been launched on Ethereum all time. And most of these are going to go to zero or are already at zero, or they might be highly derivative of each other. They might be copies, they might be scams. Fact of the matter is that all of that is playing into this extraordinarily high volume for an alternative layer one. And it shows that turns out people like to speculate on these sorts of memes, and Solana has established itself in a niche. And even some celebrities are getting involved. For example, Iggy Azalea launched this one token that went to a 9-figure market cap. And Andrew Tate has also been very active in Solana meme coins recently, including supporting some and also receiving some as donations, which according to this account, he has burnt. So lots of people are getting into Solana meme coins, including celebrities. What can we do as DeFi users and DeFi investors? Well, first off, if you want to start using Solana, you've never used it before, I'm going to refer you to this other video I made, Everything You Need to DEX Trade on Solana. This is going to go into detail with how to actually get started. But assuming you're already on Solana, you have a Solana wallet set up, then there's actually some very good opportunities to either earn yield on Solana today or to farm upcoming airdrops, because all this activity that's happening, ultimately, it feeds back into the value of the actual infrastructure that's being used to run trading and DeFi on Solana. And so I'd like to take advantage of that. If you watched my last video on farming Solana, we were farming Sanctum pretty heavily, right? Sanctum is a liquid staking platform on Solana, allows you to deposit into this pool that's like a basket of different liquid staking tokens, and they had this really in-depth points program. Well, just a couple days ago, they officially announced it. Their token is going to be called Cloud. So they're doing an airdrop. They've got a pretty good allocation to the community as well. And although all the tokenomics aren't out yet, we can see that they have a 30% community allocation. And some of that, and we don't know exactly how they're going to allocate their airdrop yet. However, they did say that they are designing it to separate the farmers from the true believers. So I suppose we'll find out exactly what that means in the weeks to come. That being said, their Season 1 points program is suspended, so congrats to everyone who got into it. We'll have to wait and see when Season 2 launches and how much of this community drop goes towards those of us who are in Season 1. And so Solana still has many opportunities, but most of the big airdrops we were looking at on this channel have already happened. Jito has happened, Kamino has happened, Sanctum has now been announced, Jupiter's happened, Drift has already happened, Tensor, the leading NFT marketplace, happened, Parcel happened. So if you've been using all of these applications, you've gotten a lot of airdrops, but I still think that there's a few that could be coming in the near future. Number one on my list now that Sanctum has dropped is Meteora. Meteora is kind of like a liquidity layer that was built by the same team as Jupiter, and it doesn't have a front end for swapping, but other aggregators like Jupiter itself can tap into Meteora, and Meteora has established itself with quite a bit of liquidity, over $200 million deposited now, and they've got a unique mechanism that makes providing concentrated liquidity easier, and what that does is it allows traders to more efficiently use the liquidity that's provided in pools, and it also allows you, if you choose the right range for concentrated liquidity, to actually earn a higher yield. I have a full video walking through exactly how Meteora works and how you can use it. I'll link that down below. But in the meantime, I am farming Meteora, and I'm going to use this DLMM. That's where I'm going to actually farm it here. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to farm it using some of these Sol tokens. So Sol, if I'm bullish on Solana, Sol is really what I want exposure to. And so what I'd like to do here is I'd like to provide liquidity between different forms of Sol. So for example, one potential pool would be INF and Sol. INF is the Sanctum liquid staking token, and Sol is of course Sol. So by providing liquidity between those two, I am farming a potential Meteora airdrop, and then I also will hopefully earn some yield as well. And so that's Meteora. That's the number one thing I'm farming right now. There's also some good opportunities for yield. So for example, Kamino, even though they've done an airdrop, there's still some pretty good pools in here, either for lending out assets or for doing leverage liquidity. So for example, you can lend out USDT for 14.63% APY right now. Like that quite a bit. Or you can use the multiply section and do some leverage yield farming up to 5x leverage. So for example, you can provide liquidity between different liquid staking tokens and Sol, sort of like we did over here on Meteora. But here the focus is on yield, and there's some leverage involved, which adds some risk. However, the APY is pretty good as well. So 18.77% in this case to provide liquidity between Jito, Sol, and Sol on this loop. I think that's, there's you could do far worse than that. And there's some other ones, for example, Jupe Sol is even better than that with 21%. Another application that still has an airdrop potentially coming in the future is MarginFi. MarginFi, if you recall, was the leading lending platform on Solana. Kamino has since passed it, and MarginFi, they've got some interesting things happening. They recently announced a YBX, which is going to be a crypto-backed stablecoin on Solana, and I think that's the main DeFi primitive that was missing on Solana before this. That being said, I think they've drawn out their points program way too long. It's been active for something like 300 some days at this point. I forget exactly when they launched it. It's been active for a very, very long time at this point, and it feels like they're kind of trying to just milk the users for as long as they can. So I'm not farming this anymore. I'm happy with the points that I got back when I was farming it for like 7 or 8 months straight. That being said, I still think that they will do an airdrop at some point, and their TVL is down, so it should be easier to rise up the ranks in MarginFi than it was a few months ago if you're interested in qualifying for this airdrop. Another thing that's interesting to me on Solana now is Jito. So Jito, you can liquid stake SOL for this 8.15% APY, but what makes Jito really interesting to me is its MEV powered staking rewards. And so as a result of that, Jito is actually benefiting substantially from all of this crazy DEX speculation. People are launching all of these meme coins, trading them, and the result of this is, if you look at the actual fees on Jito, let's look at the fees. The fees have just been going crazy. So this line is the deposits on Jito. So those are going up, great, right? Love to see it. The fees have been going up, I would argue, looks like even more, right? In February, Jito was doing something like $150,000, $200,000 of fees a day. Now they're rocking like $1.3, $1.8 million of fees a day. If you look at it by week, it's even more obvious, where it's gone from 2 to 3 million a week to 16 million a week. Just totally different ballpark. And so to me, I would say that Jito is a clear beneficiary of all of this activity. And Jito, like SOL, as we saw before, actually has some pretty good yield opportunities over here on Kamino. For example, let's look at a few. We can filter to Jito pools, and we can pair Jito SOL and earn 9.71%. We can pair Jito and SOL and earn 22.71%. Jito and USDC is 29.63%, although that one's very low liquidity. But point being, you can actually earn pretty good yield by pairing Jito with some of these other things, if that's your cup of tea. So that's Jito. I think that it's actually a pretty interesting project right now. Love projects that actually generate money, right? That's always a good sign. Next up, let's talk about a few other opportunities to earn yield. So first up, we've got Jupiter. Jupiter is not just the leading DEX aggregator on Solana, it's like the front end of Solana DeFi, but they also have the leading perp DEX on Solana now. And you can provide liquidity to people who are trading on the perp DEX, as $370 million worth of capital already has. And that is earning a 29.88% APY right now. And the reason it's earning that yield, which is substantial, is because traders trade, traders pay fees, and those fees are going to the people who are providing liquidity. And perp DEXs are consistently shown to be one of the best business models in DeFi, because it turns out people who use crypto are willing to pay to trade with leverage. And the cool thing about this is you're earning that yield, and your deposits are split between a basket of blue chip assets and stablecoins. Currently, it's around 46% SOL, 10% ETH, 9% BTC, and then the rest are stablecoins. So it's SOL, ETH, BTC, and stablecoins. And to me, this is probably one of the better risk returns in terms of yield on Solana right now, although you're not going to have quite as much upside in terms of price, because you've got those stablecoins mixed in, and also because you've got BTC, which is normally going to be less volatile than other assets. Another benefit of this is that Jupiter has stated they'll be doing other airdrops in the future, and this is all speculation, but personally I suspect that people who are providing liquidity on their perp DEX, which seems to be a major moneymaker for them, are likely to receive a good portion, if not all, of that airdrop. If you want something a little bit more risky, some more Solana themed coins, then you may want to check out FlashTrade, because this is another perp DEX on Solana, and you can provide liquidity on here as well. And it also has substantial yields, but with different baskets of tokens. So for example, here is the first one. They have their pool 1, which is going to be a combination of USDC, SOL, BTC, and ETH, so similar to the other one. And this one has a higher yield, though, of 51.4%. And in this case, FlashTrade doesn't have a token yet, so you have a very good chance of qualifying for an airdrop in the event they decide to create a token later. Although keep in mind, this is higher risk, which is part of the reason why it has the higher APR. They also have this other pool, which is just pure USDC. In this case, is only 8.44%. And then they've got this other pool here, which is a basket of Solana coins. So you've got almost 50% of it is USDC, 46% in fact, but then you've got Jupe, Pith, Jito, and W, that's the wormhole token, and you're earning around 57% by this basket. So it's kind of like a basket of Solana DeFi, and you can earn 57%. So if you like Solana DeFi, I think this is not a bad way to get some exposure to it, as long as you understand that you are taking on smart contract risk from a relatively small protocol. And then the final protocol that I want to highlight this month is DeBridge. DeBridge, you may be familiar with it because it's a leading bridge to bridge between not just Solana and other chains, but between many different chains with many different virtual machines, different base layers, etc. However, DeBridge has been one of the most popular ways for people to bridge to and from Solana since Wormhole did their airdrop, and they announced they're doing their airdrop recently as well. We can see here introducing DBR, that's going to be the DeBridge token, and they're sharing it with some Solana communities already, including Jupiter, Soulflare Wallet, Birdeye, and Zeta Markets. It's going to be a token on Solana, and they are allocating 20% to community and launch. And as far as I can tell, you can actually still qualify for this. There's no reference to any sort of snapshot in this announcement, although usually they would have done the snapshot before. They still have a live points program, which indicates to me that probably the snapshot is still happening in the future. And so if you want to qualify for this airdrop or even potentially future airdrops, I don't think it hurts to do some bridging with DeBridge still. If you want to learn more about different DeFi strategies, farms, etc., be sure to check out my newsletter, dynamodefi.substack.com. Each week I send out the best on-chain analysis, trends, and a farmer of the week straight to your inbox. So oftentimes you'll learn about things days, weeks, or even months before I talk about it on the channel. I also have some special premium content on here, such as this on-chain academy, to teach you how to do all of this research yourself using the sorts of tools that I go through in these videos. Again, that's dynamodefi.substack.com. And for more videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.